not gay. I have relationships with women, sex with men.
And I got news for you. That means you're gay.
What's going on, all you tombs? This is Nina Infinity. Welcome to the channel. We're going to be talking about Cyberpunk, Edgerunners, the new anime brought to you by Netflix. We are going to be discussing all of the things that happened in the show, the good, the bad, the ugly. Most of it is, I think, good, but we're gonna talk about all of it. We're gonna talk about the video game. We're gonna talk about so many things with the panel here. So it's really good to see you guys in the chat. Please make sure you're smashing the like, sharing the stream. Tell everybody that we're having a discussion about Cyberpunk Edgerunners, because most people think that the people in this fellowship / community, whatever you want to call it, are always hating on things. But on this channel, I don't just hate on things. I talk about stuff I like and I enjoy. And that's this show right here. So, but before we get started, before we get into all the crazy spoilers, this is going to be a spoiler review, by the way. So keep that in mind. We're going to be talking with some very special people. First off, it's Literature Devil. Hello, how are you, Literature Devil? Good to see you again.
I'm doing great. Thank you much. Thank you much for having me on. Of course, I hated this anime. It's awful.
Oh, did you? Okay.
I'm getting my check-in from what's his name? That one guy who pays everyone, who pays us all apparently. So
yeah, what's going on with you?
I'm being paid to hate this.
Okay. All right.
I like it. It's really it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
That's completely fair. I'm so glad that you hate it and you're here to just rain on everyone's parade. We need that. Real quick before I forget, I just want to give a big shout out to Dominic Karen's. Yeah, thank you so much for gifting 10 memberships to the chat. You are awesome. Right off the bat, that's what happened just now. So I just want to give that a shout before I forget. So thank you for that. Literature Devil, tell everyone who you are and where they can find you, other than Sunday nights where you're here. But...
Oh yeah, I'm Literature Devil on YouTube and on Twitch if you want to look over there, but mainly on YouTube. I go over the story structure, narrative structure, characters, traditional writing, upholding tradition and traditional writing, the characters, the hero's journey. Why we like all this old stuff and hate all this new stuff, and then taking the great narratives all these people like and snapping them in half and making them cry, that sort of stuff.
There you go. There you go. So lots of stuff that happened in this show as well. We're going to be talking about so much of that. I see X-Ray Girl says, Jim J. Hi, X-Ray Girl. X-Ray Girl. We love you. She was invited to this very last minute. And she was like, I just woke up. I don't know. But she's welcome to join us if she wants to. Jeremy Wormy for 5 says, I really like the show. The ending really hit me in the feels. It did get me to buy 2077 because I like the world so much. Wow, Jeremy Wormy, we're going to talk about that. That's a really interesting point that you made. So we're gonna get into that right after I introduce the next person on the panel, who is it's the first time he's here, although I've met him IRL. He truly is a cyborg. He is definitely a cyborg.
Actually, you can see my leg.
Oh my God, look at, hold on. Oh, I gotta go full screen on this. Okay. Show off your leg again.
It's under the super chat.
Let's see the good.
Jeremy Wormy,
hold on, let me get rid of that. There.
Now the sock X-Ray Girl bought for me. So if you think the socks are nerdy,
oh my God,
they were bought for me by my human wife. Puppies.
Oh yeah, he's
Rocky.
got
come here.
We've got a real cyborg. This is amazing.
One second, I'm gonna whistle to get him up here.
Sure. This is amazing. Like, who else is going to be reviewing Cyberpunk with an actual cyborg? Nobody. I tell you that right now. Got a real cyborg on this freaking channel right here.
The puppies are not having it.
Is it X-Ray Girl's puppies or is it just regular puppies?
Well, I don't know. I guess today they're probably hers because she's been on nights. So all of today she spent in bed.
That was so funny because the puppies were on here before the
I found
stream.
my Mexican one.
Oh, there he is. And then they rejected Mark. They were like, no, we're leaving. You know what? not down. Oh my
Yes.
God. His eyes just lit up like all red, like the way cats do sometimes.
That is called a red reflex, and it is actually your retina reflecting the light. That's why we get red eye in
Yeah, so
photos.
it happens with that. I haven't really seen it happen with dogs all that much. It usually
Happens with humans too.
kitties. I know.
Yeah,
I
if you get
know.
me right on the retina.
No, that's crazy. But okay, so this super chat was really interesting by Jeremy Wermy because he says that it got him to buy the 2070 Cyberpunk 2077, the game.
Yeah, it's been topping the Steam charts for the last week. Like
I
basically since
know.
Edgerunners came out, it's like one of the best-selling games on Steam right now.
Yeah, look
It's
what happens when you actually make
crazy.
something good and don't have to spend all the extra money just paying off everyone to run damage control because your
Yeah.
show sucks.
And it kind of makes you
Make money.
think, what if Cyberpunk 1.6 was Cyberpunk 1.0 and Edgerunners came out the same week the game came out?
So many things would have been different.
Might have been a better deal. I think the part of it was at least here, I'll just because this is video game stuff, it's not really anime, but for the production of Cyberpunk 2077, CD Projekt Red is a Polish company, and apparently they got a significant grant from the Polish government because actually even like CD Projekt's involvement in politics is not starting with Cyberpunk either. They actually the Polish prime minister presented Barack Obama with a copy of The Witcher 2. Being like, wow, this is one of the most significant pieces of culture which has come out of Poland in the last decade.
That's not a lie.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like the Polish government was really behind them, and I think they got a pretty significant grant. And I was doing some reading about the fact that apparently Polish business grants have kind of a deadline. Puppies, stop fighting. You might hear growling puppies in the background.
That's all good. We love
but
puppies.
Yeah, so there's a lot of rumors that the Polish government's time limit on when they had to return that money or like basically pay back their money was ending at the end of 2020. So that's why the game was like delayed. Let's go to November. Okay, now 3 weeks delayed to mid-December, and it's like December. Like clearly it's not ready. You guys are pushing it back like a week at a time, 2 weeks at a time. Like it's really
definitely not ready. And you know what? Yeah. Before we get into that, Mark, do your introduction first, just in case people don't know who you are. This is the first time you're here. So let everyone know who you are and where they can find you.
I am Mark the Cyborg. I am the husband of X-Ray Girl, who is the producer of one of the shows that Nina is on. Both X-Ray Girl and I met Nina when we took our honeymoon in Mexico. It was before was it before? No, did we have Rocky? I don't know. I'm trying to think. No. Harley was still alive at that point? Okay. Yeah. Sorry, the days are all blending into one.
It's all good. It's all
I miss my little Harley. but anyways, yeah, and I make videos. I just made a big feature-length documentary on the Metroid series that's on my YouTube channel. It's my most successful video ever. I actually got this mic right here with the money I made off the ad revenue, and I'd never made any money off the revenue before, so that was pretty sweet.
It's a good feeling. It's a good feeling.
Yeah, and I'm actually streaming this podcast right now on Rumble while playing Cyberpunk 2077 on Xbox, so I hadn't started playing too much of it yet. You can open me up in a tab if you want, but keep watching on Nina's channel. But dang, my Rumble video, I get like 4 to 5 viewers on Rumble max.
Well, I've never been on Rumble, like streaming on Rumble, so you're kind of popping my Rumble cherry.
Okay. Well, the reason I'm doing that is because, like, just full disclosure and everything, Rumble has contracted me to stream basically as much as I can over the next 6 months and collect feedback. So if you follow me on Twitter, you will see my Rumble streams pop up there because I'm pretty much tweet all of them, unless I'm doing a guest spot on someone else's podcast, because then that's kind of one of my unpromoted Rumble streams, so I can get my hours in, but I'm not like pulling viewers from.
So full disclosure, we got a Rumble shill on the stream.
Well, no, I'm not. Hey, contracted, and I'm trying to provide them with feedback. So I have no interest in trying to sell them to anyone. In fact, totally if you go there and you think it sucks, please tell me what sucks, because then I can pass it along. That's my whole job. My job has no value unless I have people being like, yeah, Rumble sucks because blank. I need the blank.
No reason. So actually, speaking of that, so Mark's information is in the description, as well as Literature Devils. Literature Devils also has a book, so make sure you check that out. And Mark's Twitter is on there. So if you have things you want to complain about with regards to Rumble, hit him up. and tell him why it sucks. And so without further ado, though, so we're going to get into this now. I'm going to start by telling you my Cyberpunk experience, and then we'll just kind of go around the horn and talk about what our experience was before we went into this show. And maybe just talk about like a little bit of your anime background too, like if you're familiar with anime, if you're not, blah, blah, blah. So as for me, as you can see, I am very familiar with anime. I've loved anime for basically all my life. I think I was an anime nerd before I was an anything else nerd, like meaning Star Trek, Star Wars, all that kind of stuff. I was an anime girl. And then I love video games. And I love The Witcher 3. So I was a very hardcore advocate of Cyberpunk. I like futuristic stories, even though I hate transhumanism, which is kind of really weird. But I hate that stuff. Yeah, but I know, right? But like I'm not into it. But at the same time, I am, because I know that's the world that we're kind of like heading towards. So I feel. It's very interesting stuff. And so I played the game when it was first initially released. I bought it like day one because I was like, I have no doubt this game's going to be amazing. How can it not be? Like, there's no way CD Projekt Red's going to let anybody down. And well, they did. They let everybody down, including myself, and I didn't like the game. I liked this storyline. Like, I thought the storyline was good, but there was a lot of glitches. And I think what I had the most problem with was the AI of the game, because like at the same time I was kind of also playing Red Dead 2, so you could see very clearly the just how bad Cyberpunk AI was compared to the Red Dead 2, like the Rockstar AI. And so therefore I was very disappointed with it, even though I finished the game because I wanted to know the story. So I finished it. I really liked the Keanu Reeves parts. That was really good stuff on their part. But I've heard they fixed the game. And as you guys were saying, it seems like it's gotten a like new life with this. And having said all of that, after I watched this anime, I was kind of done with Cyberpunk. Like, I was like, I'm never going to play this game again. But now that I've watched this anime, it sparked a new interest in me. And I'm like, hey, you know what? Since I feel like they've fixed the game, maybe I will go play it again. And this time I'll play a different class. Because the first time I played it, I actually played Edgerunner. So like I played the hacking people. And so this time maybe I'll go,
that term would be a netrunner.
Yeah, netrunner.
Yeah, edgerunner are just the mercenaries. So everyone was an edgerunner in the game.
That's right. I played the netrunner. I played the hacker.
Yeah. So it'd be kind of interesting if the anime came back with different seasons for each class. Like, do you ever get a corpo?
That would be interesting, because I was thinking of that too. Like, I'm like, with this ending, it seems kind of like a standalone at this point. So I feel like, yeah, I feel like if they're gonna
bring them back or something, it'd be stupid.
I have in my heart, I have a story or a game really that I could design in this lore that would be so good. They actually were in the anime as well, and they're in the game as the trauma team.
Like the
paramedics.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
So the trauma team have a comic, and the comic is actually quite good. It's a Dark Horse comic, and I think it's 4 issues. It's pretty short. It's a fairly short run. And basically what trauma team is like privatized insurance super medics that basically show up and kill anyone that tries to stop them in order to save the client's life. Mm-hmm. But you have like different tiered plans that give you different types of coverage, and they're all like equipped with military grade upgrades. So they're like super cyborgs and they're medics. And my job is I'm a medic in the Canadian Army and I'm a cyborg. So I'm just like, oh man, let me design the DLC that's like you playing as the trauma team guys, and you have to like not only fight but find your patient, assess their wounds, decide what their interventions are, figure out if it's their cybernetics that are fucking up and you need to like repair them or hack them, or if it's a biological thing and you have to start doing medicine. I'm just like, oh, if I'm ever going to be a CD PR shill, let me design that game, and then I'll never review another CD Projekt game again, because that would be a conflict of interest.
Yeah, I played like the corpo lead or the corpo class or whatever. By the way, like I didn't really go. I went corpo first, so if I play again, I'm not gonna play Corpo this time. I'll probably play like either the broke people or the mountain people, or not
Nomad. Nomad was my first playthrough, and I love the Nomad storyline. I think it ties into some of the late game story, especially with Pan Am, and in a really good way that pays off well.
Yeah, I was totally a corporate shill. It's true. That's what happened to me. Mark, Andrew wants you to check out Rumble Chat.
Oh.
Thank you for the 2.
Sorry, I have one phone to monitor both chats, and
no worries.
I'm still trying to figure out what my upgrades are going to be here for my Corpo character that I'm playing on Xbox.
And Mr. X for 1,000 says, average Rebecca, kill Adam Slasher in the game. Avenge Rebecca, kill Adam Smasher in the game. Dude, okay, see, that's my other question, because it's been a while since I played the game. I was like, wait, is that the same Adam Smasher that you kind of kill? Okay, all right. Perfect.
Yeah, so the game
about the spoilers, literature devil.
Well, yeah, I mean, you see the first scene in which you see Adam Smasher introed. It's pretty easy to do the math that if he's not the final boss, he's probably going to be close to it. So I don't know if I'd even really call that a spoiler at all. But
it kind of is. So I'm sorry, but it's totally a spoiler. That's basically the final boss in the main game. And it was cool. I like that he was in this, but the way he came and kind of smashed, I could say Adam Smasher. He literally smashed.
Adam Smash.
Adam Smash. He did it. Okay, so what about you, Mark? Tell us your experience with Cyberpunk and anime, and just a little bit of background on what's going on with you. Because I already know that you did a review of Cyberpunk for Geeks and Gamers. So tell us a little bit about that.
And I encourage everyone who would call me a CD Projekt shill to actually watch my review, because most of it is spent picking apart the problems with the game, and in a lot of cases how it could be easily fixed by something that shouldn't take a lot of time, like allowing a keybind remapping and stuff like that. But anyways, as I will explain, I was accused many times over the Cyberpunk 2077 launch of being a CD Projekt shill, and the reason for that is because I really enjoy their digital game store called GOG, or Good Old Games. And the reason I like that is because it's the only retailer basically on the internet that sells you digital content that you legitimately own. Like, you could buy a game off GOG and put it onto a Blu-ray yourself, save it onto a hard drive. There's no online check-in you have to do or anything. You just own that game. You could give it to your friends if you want. And they mediate that by just hoping that you won't. Like, just being like, yeah, we're giving you digital content that isn't as restrictive as most digital content is, and we're hoping that you enjoy that service enough that you won't take advantage of it and abuse it. And I think that's really cool. And I think that it's impossible to put them on the same plane as people like Activision and EA and Ubisoft, because they're way more scummy for a lot of different reasons. And every single one of the companies that I just mentioned has released broken games in the past. This is CD Projekt's. Well, I mean, it's not honestly, all their games have released a little on the broken side, but this is their big AAA broken game disaster. And yeah, that sucks. Yes, they lied about a lot of stuff. I think their marketing team should be probably entirely fired, and that they should promote their games more honestly in the future. Jojo?
The doggies agree.
I just grabbed the wrong dog. Jeez.
It was like a No Man's Sky situation where like they overpromised and then didn't deliver all that much.
It was basically exactly that, but on a larger scale. Because No Man's Sky or Hello Games is a team of like 15 people.
Yeah.
So it's them overpromising is a little bit different in terms of scale.
But also No Man's Sky was very new, whereas everyone had so much expectation because of The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
Like me, because Witcher 3 is like one of my favorite games of all time. I played that game like maybe 4 or 5 times straight through. So I had high expectations, and they really let everybody down because it was definitely not on the same level as Witcher 3.
Yeah, and I mean, like, a game being a letdown is one thing, because there's lots of ways that a game can look a lot better that it's going to end up actually being, just because of
that's true.
I mean, even the audience kind of hyping it up for themselves. I think actually that's one of the reasons why people think The Last of Us 2 is even a good game at all. because they decided long before it came out that they loved The Last of Us, so The Last of Us Part 2 is great. It's like, wait, did you play it? did you think about the way the game design works? Like I'm saying this to the hypothetical person who says that that's a great game.
I'm just saying, I didn't play it because of all the stuff that happened. I was like, I'm not playing this.
Well, I mean, I have, and I can tell you that it has a lot of problems that don't even have to do with the story. Like the game design in it is poor, and it's a game that people call a masterpiece. So I think there's a lot of makes confirmation bias, maybe just like, yeah, I think this is the truth, so it is the truth regardless of the evidence kind of deal.
Okay.
And that can happen to any company for any reason. Where CD Projekt messed up harder than just a misunderstanding or your game undershot where it seemed like you were promising, is they were actively lying about a lot of stuff and pulling a bunch of shady shit that honestly made me lose respect for some content creators and gain respect for others. So I want to give a shout out, a positive one, to SkillUp and ACG, because when they were offered review codes of Cyberpunk 2077, they were told that they are only allowed to show footage they were only allowed to talk about the first 2/3 of the game for story, and they were not allowed to use any of their own footage. They were going to be given B-roll that was made by CD Projekt, and it's like, this is the footage you can use. And both of them were like, if we're not putting our own footage in our review, you can go fuck yourself. So yeah, we'll review the game when it comes out, but we're not doing that. Whereas guys like Young took the deal, gave the game a super glowing review, and then backpedaled it like a month after it came out. And we're like, actually, I might have got caught up in the hype. And it's like,
fuck off.
SkillUp and ACG, awesome. Like that, because as much as people said that I was like overhyped for it, there's no chance I'm making a review with anyone else's footage. Like I am unbelievably autistic when it comes to that stuff.
It was I didn't even want to. Man, it was weird with Cyberpunk because like I definitely didn't have like the experience a lot of people had because I played it on PC, so I didn't experience a lot of like the weird crashes and stuff like that especially were reported on for PlayStation 4 and stuff. My game actually ran very smoothly. What I had a problem with was the build, like the stuff that I thought I was going to get and I didn't get, like those were the things that were mostly my problem. But let me ask you this. Okay, so now that we kind of know your background on Cyberpunk and like the video game and stuff, so tell us a little bit about your anime background. Like, have you watched a lot? Where do you stand with anime?
I would say that's probably actually the easier thing for me to explain. I became kind of an anime fan in like the mid 90s. So watching what I would call the holy trilogy that were always found at kids with older brothers' houses on possibly bootlegged VHS tapes of Akira,
Nice.
Ghost in the Shell, and Ninja Scroll.
Woo!
If you talk to any like teenage boy or preteen boy in the mid 90s, that was probably the 3 anime they've seen. If
you
they've seen them.
the test, you passed.
Yeah, well, I mean, those are the easy ones though. But then I've done a few anime shows on my channel. We've been going through doing weekly reactions to Attack on Titan as it's been airing. Me and my friend KJ did a whole series on Fate. We did Fate Zero, Fate Unlimited Blade Works, and Fate Heavensfeel. And then Garden of Sinners, which is kind of an interim story for that universe. So, I've done my fair amount of talking about the Japanese motion pictures. And I'm a big fan of it. I've been watching it for quite some time. And I guess the last few things I've seen would probably be Edgerunners and Spy Family. I absolutely love. If you haven't seen Spy Family,
I haven't seen it.
Do that one up.
That's one of the things with me, Mark, is that I'm kind of like I feel like I've fallen out with anime a little bit because I can't really explain it except for I feel like most anime sucks these days. I know that's the terrible thing to say, but I'm more of an old school person. Like I like old school anime, and I feel like a lot of the new animes is a lot of flash and no substance.
Yeah, although I mean, it is, you got to kind of think of it as like it's a medium, right? So it's not like it's kind of like saying, like video games suck. It's like,
I know. Yeah, it's a very broad stroke of a brush that I'm putting on here. So when I see stuff like Edgerunners, I get really like happy because I'm like, yay, there's still good anime out there. Like, they're doing good. Like there is definitely good stuff that I like to see and I like to watch.
I will honestly stake my reputation when it comes to recommending you things for the entire future on Spy Family. Like,
Okay.
I think if you watch the 12 episodes of Spy Family that are out, the first season basically is done. I don't think there's a chance that you won't at least see why people think it's good, even if you don't like it yourself.
Okay. A lot of people have told me about that. Like the other one I started watching was Demon Slayer.
Yeah, Demon Slayer is good.
Demon Slayer is pretty good, but it's not like I was kind of like, it's all right. Like, yeah, there was stuff in there that I was like, I cannot deal.
And I think the reason why is because Demon Slayer is like, it's basically your standard shonen anime, so like a superhero comic essentially. So it's a good one, I think, but it doesn't really do anything that's going to blow you away. But I think it's solid. Like,
I kind of went and read the manga because I was like, I don't know.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, I went and read it because I was.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't. So I've only seen the anime for Demon Slayer.
Well, I was like, I don't know if I have the patience to wait for so long for the anime to come out. So then I was like, I just want to know the ending. So I just went and read the manga instead. Just so I know what happens. I'm not gonna.
I bought some of the manga for Spy Family, and I've basically been making it a rule that I watch the anime and then read up in the manga to get to where I was. Just because I like the anime so much that I want to be engaged when the episodes of the show come out, and not just kind of feel like, oh, okay, I understand this. This is an adaptation of a story I already know. But yeah, Spy Family's good stuff though.
I'm gonna have to try that out because a lot of people have told me about that, so I'm gonna have to try that out. LD, are you still with us? Are you here?
Oh, and Soul Assassin, my JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Speaking of which, this is my puppy JoJo.
Aww. Is that who you named her for? Like
after Joseph Joestar, the best JoJo, but X-Ray Girl thinks she's named after one of the contestants on The Bachelorette.
Oh my god!
Who is also named JoJo.
Oh my god!
And yeah, Rocky is named after Rocky Balboa, but we gave him that name because he kind of looks like a raccoon, and he's Rocky Raccoon.
Oh, so cute. Okay, well, I think LD is stepped away for a minute, so we're gonna start talking about it.
Cool. I've started playing the game.
So, Mark, what did you think of the first episode?
I actually really liked it because of the ending. I think that I thought it was fine going through, and I enjoyed the style of it. I think Studio Trigger is really good. They've actually done, I think actually was it Studio Trigger or might have just been one of the guy who directed Edgerunners, but made this thing called Gurren Lagann, which is like a mecha anime, and then Kill la Kill, which is like a really fun show too.
Oh, I didn't know that he made Kill la Kill. See,
or at least Studio Trigger did. It's hard to say if it's I don't know if I'm misplacing the credits because that's the downside to being on my couch here. I don't have my computer.
No worries. I like that show. It was a good show.
Yeah, and so I immediately thought that the style was nice. I thought that the action was well directed. I actually made a tweet while I just started watching it that within the first like 6 minutes of it, the Trauma Team shows up, and I'm a Trauma Team fanboy. So it's like, yeah, awesome Trauma Team.
Well, for me, it was different a little bit because I started watching it, and I gotta say, like, I didn't get into it right away. Like, I was like, oh no, like I was like, oh no, like. And I had already told Literature Devil that we're going to review the whole thing. And then I was like, within 10, 15 minutes of it, I was just like, what did I sign up for? Like, I really don't want to watch this at all. Like, I was just so out of it until the very end of the episode. And I was like, okay, they got me. All right.
And I think that for me, I was into it at first in the sense that I was like, oh, this could be fun. But I was sort of like, this will sort of be like watching an anime style cinematic from the game about like a different character. And I like the game enough that I'm like, okay, I'm up for watching that. But then the ending, I'm just like, oh, this premise is actually kind of cool. And now this is a main character that has like a pretty relatable motivation. I sort of wish they, like, knowing where they went with it, that they added an extra episode or made the first episode longer, and that maybe we got a bit more time between David and his mother. But that ending hit me pretty hard because I really did not see that coming. I sort of thought, especially with the school and the Corpo Academy and the Arasaka Academy and the bullies, it seemed like Is it Satsuki is the villain in Kill la Kill? Like the guy that he was his rival kind of seemed like a male version of the villain from Kill la Kill. Like the eyebrows were sort of similar, and it was like, oh, okay, so this is gonna be Cyberpunk Kill la Kill, I guess. And I think that's fine. I was like, that could be fun. And Kill la Kill, if you guys don't know, is a much more lighthearted anime. It's very like kind of over the top silly. It's fun, and it's got really good action, and it's actually like got a lot of fan servicey stuff. So if you like boobs and butts, there's a lot of clothed but very, very, very accentuated boobs and butts on Kill la Kill. Mm-hmm. But it kind of at the end of the first episode, it's like, oh no. This is a serious story.
Yeah.
We're going to tell a serious story that actually has like a fair amount of heart.
But I felt like the same way with this though, because it was like, at first I was just like, oh man, it's so silly. Like, am I going to really like this? Like, it was just like the way that it was built, like the way it was, the way the shots were, the way, it was, you didn't know if someone was dead unless they're exploding in like the most violent way possible.
Oh, but if they were going to explode, you would see it.
Yeah, exactly. So it was very like just like,
and I'm back.
So
sorry about
much.
That.
Yeah. Hey, no problem. It was just so much that I was kind of like, oh, I don't know if I'm feeling this so much like at the beginning, and then like, but the way they did the story progression to the end of the episode, I was like, okay, this is good. Like I can deal with this, because there's major stakes set out in episode 1 already, because you're like, okay, people die. Okay, I get it that there's stakes. Whereas I feel like there's a lot of that missing in today's media, where you're just kind of like, oh, okay, everyone's gonna live somehow. There's no stakes. But LD, since you're back now, tell us a little bit about your game experience and then your anime experience, and then give us your thoughts on the first episode.
I haven't really played Cyberpunk. Not yet. I bought it because of the anime. Again, like another one of the guys bought it because of the anime. But I bought it when I saw the first few episodes. It was half off too. Like, I might give it a try. I hadn't played it at all. And of course, I've seen a few anime. I have a Weeb stream every Friday, so we talk about that stuff. And I've seen some series, read some manga. So it's I guess like a like intermediate, I guess, at this point. It was pretty good overall, I think. It was pretty good overall. It was a lot of fun, very intense action. It really brought you back from like this a guy who was living on the street, or not really on the streets, but like living in poverty, like some no-name kid, to him being this hero until, of course, what happens at the end.
Yeah.
So it did a really good job. And the first episode, it really establishes the world and the world that he lives in. So it makes sense what the actions taken afterwards, and it makes sense as to why so many people take this course of action. Like, why would they destroy themselves for this immediate power? Kind of like drugs, I guess. Like their version of cybertech is kind of like drugs. Like you take a small hit and you sacrifice your humanity, according to the show, and you will eventually probably go cyber psycho if you do it too much. But people do it anyway because they need power now. They need that strength in order to survive now. At least that's their view of it. It was like the idea of bling, the idea of like looking better than the other guy, and everything else like that. And also another really interesting thing was what was it? Oh yeah, so it was subtle, a little subtle, oddly enough for the show, but they did a really good job at pulling you into the outer world. So what I mean by that is like the hero's journey. One thing that it usually does is you start off in the ordinary world, and you cross a threshold. You defeat the threshold guardian, and you cross a threshold into the extraordinary world. I think the threshold guardian, this one was that bully kid, because once he got the thing installed, boom, he's starting to access new things, and it's Lucy's like the white rabbit here, like guiding him into this extraordinary world. He's like playing the manic pixie dream girl role in this, and then she brings him into this world of edge running and mercenary work and punk work, and this is where he really thrives, not this stuck up school that he's in. And that's where it's really interesting. So he kind of jumps and abandons the ordinary world and the extraordinary one, and nothing changes really, like aesthetically. It's always still the same city, same setting, but the world is different, much different from the ordinary life. And I like how the idea of turning cyber psycho, the idea of giving up your humanity, is parallel to how the city is, because the city has also gone towards the waves of cyber tech, has gone away from humanity to the point where empathy is kind of like, did you pay enough? What level do you have? The mother could have been rescued if the trauma team was able to pick up anyone like they do today. And
that was really interesting. That was really interesting.
They find her like, does she have any insurance? Nope. All right, leave her there.
Yeah. And that's that world. That's the world that I hate, that they're trying to make. And I'm like, I'm not interested in this world that you're trying to make. But there's just so much good that goes on with the series. And you're right. Like, they did a really good job in building that kind of the worldview, and setting up the characters. But it's so funny that you mentioned like the whole bully thing. Like, that was actually the part that I was kind of like, is this show really this basic? Like, are we talking about like bullies in high school and stuff like that? Like, and that scene where this dude starts just like pounding at the guy and like whatever. And I'm just like, and like nothing happens to him really, I was like, really? Like, this is where we're kind of heading with this. Like, I don't know if I'm liking this at all, but then everything like changes immediately. So then you're like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if I'm talking about. Like when he's like punching him. That scene was weird.
Oh yeah, he's like, does a Bruce Lee thing.
Yeah.
But I think that's the thing where it tells you that even he is like, he's altered a little bit because he has something in him that taught him skills or something, and how he's the main character is poor, so he doesn't get to have any of that. He's just a normal guy. He's a normal dude, and he just feels so run over by everyone around him because they're rich or they're powerful. And like the kid, they think that they can just run over him. They can just pick on him because he's weaker and poor, and he has no strength. He has no value in society. The only value he has is that his mother is able to put him in this prestigious school, and he's not taking that seriously as well because it's handed to him. If you notice, he has a very, very masculine kind of boyish perspective. And that he doesn't really want to be in that prestigious school, like it's being handed to him. He wants what he does do is that once he starts running with the Edgerunner people, he start that's what he likes to do. Is like he's calling people for jobs. So he's not lazy. He just wants to do things. He wants to build his own legacy. He wants to build something for himself with his own two hands. So it might seem like he's lazy in school, but he's not. Like he once it starts into something that he can control, that he can build, that he can make on his own. That's when he starts getting into things. He starts calling people for jobs and calling people for activities and lessons and all kinds of stuff. So he really gets into it and eventually becomes a leader, obviously.
That scene, I'm just like going over the first episode again. That scene where his mom dies and then they like don't save them and then they go into the hospital and that guy's like, he's like, can I go see my mom? And they're like, no, you don't have that package. I was just like, dude, this is what this world
ultra
is becoming
privatized
right
medicine.
Yeah, it was so crazy. And then they're like, oh,
here's
she
your mom.
died, by the way, here's her ashes.
Yeah, it's like a vending machine. Like,
yeah. Oh my god.
Like that society has abandoned humanity. And of course, I'm betting all the Twitter comments are like, oh, this is what happens when we go full capitalism. That's not what happens. That's corporatism. Because capitalism is about competition. This is corporatism. Like they controlled everything. You can't really compete with them. So there's not capitalism. Corporatism has run over capitalism in this one. And no one can compete. They just run society. So, and then because of that, it's become more and more. Corporations today, every time they try to act human, they feel robotic and hollow and shallow. Like, hello, fellow humans. It really feels like that every single time. From movies to commercials to products, it feels this like robots are running everything. So, it's all corporate and artificial feeling. Even the culture around it, and that's what is epitomized in Cyberpunk. It's just everything is artificial and like just hollow and shallow, and there's no humanity, there's no empathy anywhere.
It's literally my nightmare, Literature Devil. I'm not even joking. Like I hate this world so much, but a part of me is like, oh, this is exactly where we're headed. So I have to be prepared of what's happening. So this is his mom's ashes. And he just takes it home to the hospital.
Like, here's your ashes. Bye-bye.
Here's your ashes. Bye. Like,
they got out of a vending machine or something.
So soulless. Like, I was like, what is happening in this show? Which was good. Like, because it needed it. It needed that I like that episode needed that extreme kind of change into, you know, figuring out what this character is really about and like what he's really about.
What is his motivation? If this is a show about a kid who becomes a cyborg mercenary, because I mean it that much, at least if you've played the game or know the lore, because I mean it was a tabletop RPG from like the 80s. And you will know that an edge runner is a mercenary. Essentially, it's like a bounty hunter that's in a city that takes on jobs for these people called fixers. And being an edge runner is one of the few non-corporate ways which you can become rich with. So basically your choices for becoming rich are working for a corporation, being a criminal, or doing something that's extremely dangerous all the time. And edge runners obviously are an extremely dangerous job, which is why like in a society where money is kind of all that matters, and the currency in this world is called euro dollars or EDs or eddies. So if you ever hear someone say this many eddies, that's what they're talking about, euro dollars. I guess Jojo. Oh god, I'm taking the chihuahua. That's it. Rocky, you're not escaping me now. You're bothering the poodle. Anyways, so it's an ultra corporate world in which money is the only thing which matters. And if money is the only thing that matters, you need money in order to excel. So lots of people end up becoming criminals, and other people end up becoming edge runners, who often will take down criminals, but in a way that's not the way that the police do it, where it's more legit. An edge runner will just be like, this guy's a problem for this gang, so go kill him. Or go hack this thing, or steal this money, or invade this. And that's why it's a decent setup for, I think, both the game, even execution aside, and for an anime, because like, hey, an anime about a bunch of superpowered mercenaries who take on random jobs, you know, there's stuff you could do there, and you could be really surface level with it. But what we got instead was a story with, I think, a decent amount of heart that I wanted to actually say. Like, when I just didn't want to step on your intro.
No, go ahead. But, go ahead. Now we're into it. So
when Literature Devil was talking about it being like sort of like an allegory for drugs, like the cyberware and stuff, and I think that that's a perfect way to kind of talk about what this story is. Because to me, I think this ultimately, David's story was a story about addiction, and the idea that you can do a couple drugs and be like, oh man, like these people said they were knocked on their ass after doing this much. I did 10 times as much as they did, and I'm totally fine. The idea that there's something about you that's special, because maybe you have a bit of a higher tolerance than other people, and you think that means you're invincible, and that you can do all the drugs you want and you're never going to OD. But you know,
I felt like David was a total narcissist. Like I was like,
I mean, but at the same time, he was right. But also the people that told him that, like, yeah, you're gonna become a cyber psycho if you keep at this, and he's just like, no, I'm not. I'm special. It's like, well,
he's special.
Yeah, you're correct about you being special. You've got a higher tolerance than everybody, but like, I mean, there's still a human meat sack there. Like, you're not just a robot.
Human. And that's what's interesting to me about this show, and about, you know, shows like Ghost in the Shell, where it talks about the idea of what it is to be human. And by the way, speaking of Ghost in the Shell, there was a lot of nods to Ghost in the Shell in this series,
especially with Lucy. She's like the major crossed with Faye Valentine.
It 100%. And that's why I love her very much.
You know,
I'm like, oh my gosh, she's amazing.
You know, in fighting games, you can face the same character together and just have like a different color scheme. Like, she just a different color scheme of Motoko Kusanagi with the attitude of Faye Valentine, which I thought was pretty interesting.
I liked it, and I don't mind those things. I don't think that they're, you know, because people say, oh, like they're copying that, and I'm like, I don't think that way. Like, I like it when people take the best parts of the media and present it in a different way. Like, she's just, I don't know, I really liked her. I thought she was cool. She was sexy. She was you know, smart, very, very passionate. It was really cool that it was a love story, because in a lot of ways, again, nowadays you don't really get those kind of things. Like, there's no love, really. Like, how can there be really love in this world, you know?
And the most important aspect of her, I think, comes towards the middle of the series, I believe, where she
after the time jump.
No, but just before.
Oh, okay.
She displays one interesting aspect from a woman that you don't really see in Western media, and that is she actually cares about her man, which is really interesting. So, and what I mean by that is that David and Maine, they're shocked. They're kind of this taken out by that one guy, because the EMP blast. And then what does Lucy do? She goes off and she just gets angry. Like, why are you so angry? How dare he hurt my man? Pretty much. Like, she went to go on a roaring rampage revenge because that person dared hurt David. And that's we don't really see that from female characters, because usually it's just in Western media, only the man is supposed to sacrifice. The woman never has any duties or sacrificial anything. They don't do anything. It's always the man having to do all the sacrificing. And I use examples of Scrubs, where there's that one episode where all the guys want to do stuff, and one of them is like Dr. Cox. It's like he wanted an award, and Jordan doesn't want to go because she's like feeling sad or mopey or whatever. And he's like, "Come on, Jordan! I never won anything in my life. Come on, just come on with me and go to this award ceremony. I got an award. I never won anything before." And the lesson written in that episode is that if you're a guy and the lady's a little bit sad, sacrifice whatever is important to you so you can make her feel better. Which sounds nice, but it's every single time. That's a lesson. Like, if you're a guy, nothing that you want or desire or what you care about, nothing that matters. It's always the woman who gets everything she wants. And there's never anything in the Western media that suggests that a woman will do any of this for a man. And usually, if that happens, it's like, how dare you take that away from me? Like, it's always selfish and self-centered, where Lucy is like going off and running off to go, like, basically sacrifice herself in order to save David. Like, she would rather her die than David die. And and that becomes a running theme at the end, where she's like, she really wants David to live. Like, no matter what, she'll die in order for David to survive, because she really, really wants him to live, because she really likes him. She loves him.
She loves him.
Yeah, and that's what a real life connection is, like, that you actually care about each other, as opposed to all the man is the only one that provides any care and any sacrifice, and the woman just can do whatever, like a She-Hulk or something.
She just goes for the ride. And I really like the connections that they did. Like, in the second episode, they kind of set up the idea that even though, like, at this point in time, she was kind of working him so that he starts working for that group or whatever, she was kind of manipulating him into this. But while she was manipulating him, she was falling in love with him. So she shared a part of herself with him that was, very secret and private in a lot of ways. And that was her dream, to go to the moon. And they come back to this at the very end. And I thought this was really, really beautiful. I'm very intelligent in the way that they kind of came back to that at the end. It was a very cool setup.
And that was a really cool twist there, because she like shows him the moon, which is their dream. He's like, I never showed this to anybody. But then, it was a setup to stall him in order for the other guys to get there.
Yeah.
And then, like, oh, she lied. She's a manipulator. Oh, she's a typical woman. And it was manipulating femme fatale. And then he starts talking to Maine about it. And Maine's like, what? Really? She wants to go to the moon? So it was true. Like, these guys that she was running with, they didn't know about the moon thing. Only David did. So that part was true. She actually did only reveal that part of herself to him. And I think she started to like the guy because of she said she started to like the guy because of the attitude. The attitude he didn't really kind of have yet. He didn't have the attitude of, I'm going to go in there and save everyone. He kind of only got that after he got his core wound, we'll say, which is exactly how do you make a character? You give him a core wound. Her core wound obviously being not being able to save his mother. His mother died.
The death of the mother. Yeah.
And he legitimately says this later on, like this, like all the people he couldn't save, that's what he was fighting for. So it feels like he's been fighting for other people's dreams, but he's really been fighting to save people and to so he can basically save his mother finally at last. But he was never really able to.
Even though he couldn't really talk about that, that's what was his end goal, was to become strong enough to be able to save people like his mom. And that was really interesting to me too. And the other part of this, and again, this is a big part of anime in general. I feel like it's a lost art in Western media, but it's not an anime form, where you obviously you introduced a vast majority of characters, and they all have their likes and dislikes. They all have their personalities, and you could easily be like, hey, that's my favorite character. Like, for example, in the chat, I see so much love for the character Rebecca.
Everyone just loves Rebecca.
Everybody loves
Cyber
Rebecca.
Harley Quinn.
Yeah. Like, I personally love Lucy because I love Major and I love Faye. So, and literally, she's literally the combination of the two characters. So, I was into Lucy, and I didn't really like, what's it called? The big guy. Like, I was just kind of okay, whatever. Like, he's,
oddly enough, with
okay.
Maine also, it was interesting because he has a girlfriend too, and like his girlfriend also cared about him. Like, it's really, I don't know why. It's so alien to see the women actually care about the men that they're with.
Especially because Maine's girlfriend was very, like, if this was a Western show, that would just be the, like, she's the tough lesbian that don't need no man.
Exactly.
And like, but here's is like, no, she's just someone who like wanted, like, the cybernetic modifications that she wanted were the ones that make you like a giant gorilla person, and she's just a female who wanted those mods, but she's still straight, she's still somebody's girlfriend, and she still cares about her man, and it's like,
she actually still cares about him. Like, Maine wants to go after that guy too, because he captured David and he wants to go after him, wants to get revenge, and then she just smacks him into the truck so that it locks him inside so he doesn't do something stupid, and then she and Lucy go off and go on a rampage.
Yeah, and it's
awesome.
So funny because like the other part of it to me is that was funny is that Rebecca was in love with him as well. Like, this is clearly she was in love with him, and she was
she tries to get him, but she's
thirsty as all hell.
She wants to attract
she's so thirsty, and she wants him so bad, and she's so jealous of Lucy, but she knows that Lucy is the only one that can save him. Like, if there's anyone to save him.
Even at the end, she's like, she knows that David's going to die, but she wants to fulfill his last wishes anyway. Yeah. Because, he's going to die, but she wants to see him happy. She wants to see his dream fulfilled, even if that means being with Lucy. Even she even says, like, when you get to Lucy, why? Because she's the only one who can save him, maybe. And she realizing that, there's no chance that David could ever want Rebecca, and it's like, but she goes with it anyway. She's not like one of those. She's not like a backstabber who's like, oh, we got to keep her away. I want David for myself. No, she's actually a good friend.
She was a good friend. I was really sad when from her demise. I was just like,
this dude was it? Adam Smasher just comes in and kills her.
Yeah, dude. I mean, in the most brutal way. But that was like, I
did not see that happening. I did not see them killing Rebecca at all.
I didn't think they were going to kill Rebecca either. But I also didn't think they were going to kill what's his name, the main character. Which
he dies at the end. Yeah, he dies.
Spoiler alert: he dies. Everybody knows this has been a spoiler episode. So let me get a couple of these super chats real quick. Jeremy Wormy for 5 says that ending hit hard. Almost went full yellow flash and had to watch something happy once I was done.
Cry.
I know. Like, I was kind of like I was teetering like on the edge. I was just like, oh no, like,
because he sees him on the moon. He's like, oh, he's here.
Yeah, when he was on the moon, like, I was just like, oh my god, like, I didn't think they were gonna tie it in like that. It was really sweet how they did it. So it was I really enjoyed it. I didn't think I was gonna enjoy it as much as I did. And then we had oh my god, your name, Ulf. I'm just going to call you Ulf. Thank you so much for the 5. Says the anime was in line with the lore of the core material of no one in Night City is a good guy. Just look at Johnny Silverhand's story. Exactly. There's a lot of gray in that world, and Night City is not a happy place.
Oh my goodness. So not only are you telling me that you can make a material, that you can make an adaptation that is faithful to the core material, you can actually make it good, and you actually make it so good people actually want more of it and want to buy the other products.
Yes.
Some people are willing to suffer some of the jank in the game to be like, hey, I want some more of this world.
Yeah, I want to play it again.
Buy Cyberpunk for half price now that it's been out for a while and has had a bunch of patches.
Imagine if Hollywood did that instead of having to spend millions of dollars on things that everyone hates and then spend millions of dollars more hiring fake actors to go, oh, you are racist, and then hiring more people and bribing more people to run damage control. And so damage control to save a show that no one likes and no one's going to buy the products of.
There's no point in trying. There's no other Star Wars products people could go look for if they like one of them.
Nothing at all. Did you know they have like
video
didn't have any books or comic books to make movies off of them, and they were kind of in a corner, Like, hello, you decanonized them all.
Yeah.
Like
this is like the first thing you did, man.
But this is such an interesting experiment, and one that anime is winning again. Like where you make a really good story. These episodes are 20 minutes long. You have 10 episodes of 20 minutes that is just jam-packed with information, but not in a way where you're like, what the fuck are you doing with this show? Because
that makes sense.
It all makes sense. It all falls into place very correctly. And I was telling Literature Devil before the stream started that, like, because I watched the last 5 episodes last night, and I felt like it was just like it was way too much for me, because I was just like, that was a lot. And
yeah, I probably watched it over 4 or 5 days myself.
Yeah,
a lot happens, and in an episode, you're like, whoa, that's a lot. And it's like you look at it, it's like, I'm only halfway through. There's still this thing.
Like when the time jump happened, like I was just like, wait, what? Like, holy, like, okay, I'm keeping up with this, but holy shit, because it was a lot, and the animation is a lot. So it's kind of taxing on the visionary senses. So I feel like I may have like overdone it. Like I think I needed to pace myself a little bit more. But also earlier in the stream, I read someone say that they watched it on acid, and I was like, holy shit. Like
that must have been intense.
That was an acid trip on its own. Like, I don't know how
one time I watched Death Proof on mushrooms, and I was surprised by how that enhanced that movie in ways I didn't expect.
Wow.
I was like, I feel like Quentin thought about this like in a more direct way than anyone else has given him credit for. Like in particular, just mundane scenes like the girls talking in a convenience store. There's just weird scenes where one of them will get up and walk over and start looking at some magazines. You're just like, fuck, I don't even remember this being in the movie.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this is definitely not one of those you want to binge. I mean, some people might, but like for me, like I needed a minute. Like I just needed a minute. By the way, I also think that the music and the just overall soundtrack of the show is absolutely amazing. It worked really well with what they had going on.
Sound a little Fast and the Furious a little bit every once in a while.
Every once in a while, yeah, because they mixed in like the like hardcore Western songs, but it was I thought it kind of suited the scenes a lot of times anyway.
I'm a big fan of Franz Ferdinand, and I'm very happy that This Fire was the intro music. I was like, oh, no way. They are fantastic live, by the way. If you ever get the chance to go see Franz Ferdinand, go do it.
Oh, okay. Night Tilt for 5 says, are there any other IPs that have parallel mediums like 2077 and its show that have complemented each other by using the same setting and assets?
League of Legends and Arcane, although they're not canon to each other.
Okay.
So Arcane is like a different take on the League universe, but it's quite faithful for the most part, and there's a lot of nods. They just make it so that if there are contradictions, then they're not putting themselves in hot water where it's like, yeah, okay, we've actually messed up the lore. They're like, yeah, it's kind of a different take on the material.
This is also true that there was a lot of music from the game as well.
Don't forget Halo. That was a faithful and
well, hey, I mean, Halo Forward Unto Dawn, the movie that came out right before Halo 4 was released, was pretty good. Like,
hey,
good live action Halo exists, man.
You know what? Sonic, okay? I'm sorry, but the new Sonic movie was pretty fucking good. Like, I
haven't seen that one yet.
That's Sonic.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't see 2, but I saw the first one. I thought it was all right.
I saw 2.
It was better than I thought a Sonic the Hedgehog movie would be.
They obviously have a sense of humor because have you ever seen the Chip and Dale movie? They have the Ugly Sonic in there. Like, they licensed that guy.
Yeah. I heard
his
that
name is Ugly Sonic. So,
yeah.
Like, yeah, he was ugly.
But they made fun of like the Peter Pan dude, which I thought was like, that's pretty sad. Like I was like, that was fucking sad. That dude like died. But yeah, like I think Sonic is pretty interesting in this. Sorry, go ahead, LD.
I was just saying that my favorite line in Chip and Dale movie was they say you're better than this, and the guy goes, no, I'm not. He's something evil. I forgot what he does.
Is the Chip and Dale movie worth watching? Like
I haven't seen it.
It's fine. Like it's not really a good Chip and Dale movie. It's kind of creepy considering that Gadget ends up with the fly. But the Fly is voiced by the Allstate guy, and I was like, it was pretty cool. But
is Gadget hot in this one?
Gadget looks like Gadget. I mean, it's like basically
yes.
3D.
Oh my god,
it's really weird because like there's a 3D, like a 3D is actually like a cosmetic upgrade you can get in this show. So you have 2D Chip and 3D Dale running around.
Is this
true? Why? How does that work?
True. Is it?
Like, I mean, does that functionally work at all, or is it just like, wait, what is this movie doing?
Like that, they say in the movie, like so Dale starts off as 2D, and then later on there's a time skip, and he's 3D because he got the cosmetic upgrade.
And he's 3D for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, he's 3D for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I gotta say, I do appreciate the commitment to that choice. Like that it's not just a psych egg. That it's like, yeah, no, the rest of the movie he's CGI, and
they're a good pair.
And they didn't ever make Chip CGI.
No, he's just 2D for the entire time
because he doesn't want to do the surgery. It's
okay. I gotta say, I gotta give some respect to that director for like being like, okay, this is gonna be a bold choice.
They note that the voices they use in the Rescue Rangers show are just put on. So like they'll do the Chip and Dale voice, and then they'll go off set and they'll have like the regular voice they use.
What's the regular?
It's like normal dudes.
I'm oddly intrigued by this movie now. I didn't think there was any chance I would have any interest in it.
But. Okay, back to Cyberpunk though, you guys, because I want to talk about the show a little bit more.
No, Chip. This is a Chip and Dale podcast now.
Now Chip and Dale.
Get on board. Rocky, your name is now Chip. Jojo, you're Dale.
I will say this because you brought up Arcane, and so there's a few points I want to make because Arcane, I thought it was really good. Like I really liked it. But I was one of the people that kind of I didn't like the main character of Arcane. Like I thought she was awful.
Vi, are you referring to?
Yes.
Or Jinx?
No.
Oh, okay.
Vi.
Because like main character of Arcane, I'm like, you could be talking about like 4 people.
Yeah, no. I meant like the main girl character, Vi. I didn't like her at all. I didn't like her to the very end. I thought she was an awful character. A lot of people came down on me for that. I've had arguments with Mahler over it because Mahler loved Vi.
I like Vi quite a lot too.
But I didn't like her. But I thought that the other interesting thing for me too is that they're very different in a sense because Arcane is an ongoing story, and it's an ongoing series. So I'm sure they're going to get season 2, and it's going to like expand on their storyline and everything. This is not. This was a very interesting standalone experience. And I don't know if it's going to get season 2. I kind of hope not. But I think if they get a season 2, they should just focus on other characters in that world and just kind of make it a standalone series each time.
Well, one thing that might lean towards that is I mentioned the Trauma Team comic earlier. The Cyberpunk Dark Horse comics, like Trauma Team was 4 issues, and then the same comic switched to just Cyberpunk, and then I think it's got a different subtitle. So it's possible that if they do more Cyberpunk anime, they might do the same deal where it's just like, no, okay, that was Edgerunners was this one, and now we'll do, I don't know, like MTAC would be, or MaxTac would be an interesting one that are like the SWAT team, I think.
Yeah. Or like Corpo,
or like the Voodoo Boys. Like you could follow any gang.
You could do anything.
Like tell a story about each one of the gangs because they're all pretty well developed for like in the lore at least.
There's a lot that could be done with it. I mean, I like Jinx and Arcane, but the other thing that I didn't really like in Arcane, and this is again one of the this is a personal choice. Like this is a personal thing. I know, like a lot of people got mad at me for it, but I don't care.
Don't say you didn't like the villain because I might have to leave. I was about to say, I was like,
no. I love everything else with regards to the characters, other than Vi. I just didn't like Vi, but I didn't like the character animation, and that is it's a personal thing. It's because I love traditional animation, so therefore Cyberpunk's animation, like anime style, to me was a lot better. Like I just like.
Are you talking about the visual style or how the movement
like the visual character, like the 3D style characters? Like I don't like those. I don't like that 3D.
Oh, okay.
Look,
because I thought Arcane looked quite good because to me it seemed like the Into the Spider-Verse animation, but with a frame rate that wasn't absolute trash. Like that was just the weirdest choice they made in Into the Spider-Verse, where it's like let's have this running at like 12 frames a second. I'm like,
Yeah. Nina's officially, it's insane. I know. I'm very picky. I'm telling you guys, I'm very picky about anime or like animation styles that I like. It's the style. It's a personal choice. I know it's great. I'm not trying to, for what it was great. I actually like a lot of the physical surrounding, the background, the 3D world building part is amazing. I just don't like the character. It's just the way it is for me. It's just a personal thing. But I like this. So therefore I like this version better. Having said that, I read people say the exact opposite for this. Like there's people that really wanted this to be 3D because of the game and they wanted that
I saw that. I was about to bring that up like on your tweet from earlier. Someone was like, I hate that it's anime. I wish they just made a CGI animation that would make it so that I could see without having to play the game. I was like, dude, just watch it playthrough. Watch it playthrough with someone that had like a really good computer, and that's basically a CGI like show set in this world.
But it was the opposite for me. Like I was like, oh, I love this because it's anime, and like other people are like, no, this should have been 3D, and I'm like, but I hate 3D, so I'm good with this.
I don't know.
Anime.
I don't have a preference one way or the other as long as it suits the tone of the material. And I think Arcane's art style fit it perfectly and allowed them to do like they did some really cool stuff with it. Things like the fight between Echo and Jinx on the bridge. Like that. They did that in a way that utilized their medium so well and like made it so that it wasn't just
I don't disagree. I don't disagree. I think they did use a lot of it.
I mean, but at the same time, I'm not arguing against your personal preference is personal preference. So like ultimately,
I'm not saying the show is shit because it's 3D.
And I was just trying to clarify. I'm not saying that that's what you're saying.
Oh, I know, Mark. I know. We're so like we're just like walking around eggshells around each other now because everybody gets attacked all the time. Literature Devil, what about you? Like, did you like Arcane? Like, have you
what I saw of it? I haven't finished it yet, but I started it. It was pretty good. It's pretty good, surprisingly good.
Watch it in chunks of 3 episodes is my recommendation. Think of it as a trilogy of movies, and each 3 episode is one movie.
That kind of what it feels like. I've watched the first 3 episodes and took a break, and I was like, that feels like I just watched the thing. Like I just feel like I just watched a season or something like
that. That's how they released it. They did it, I think, 3 episodes over the course of 3 weeks, like 3 episodes at a time. And I almost think that people might have viewed Arcane much differently if they just said, these are the 3 League of Legends movies that are coming out, and then released them like a month apart. And I don't know. Could have been interesting to see how that changed.
For me with Arcane, it was very different because I'd never played League of Legends. So it was like this was
honestly, I had just kind of dabbled in it. Like I knew a little bit about it. I played it a few times with some friends, but I wasn't like a big League player or anything like that. But I think that Arcane doesn't make you have to be. Like it does a good job of being approachable to people who don't know anything about the world.
Agreed.
And at the same time, it got me to fiddle around and play some League with a few friends for a while. So
I got curious, but not curious.
Cross marketing.
Kind of what happens when you make something good. People like actually want to enjoy the parent kind of product. And one thing about Arcane was that it was really cool and refreshing to see female characters actually receive consequences for their actions.
Yeah,
in Western media anymore. Also,
Also, a same-sex romance that didn't involve them talking about how their society will never accept them and it becoming the focus of the story. It's just kind of there. It's like, these 2 characters are attracted to each other. Maybe there's something going on. Maybe not.
I literally
we'll see next
thought
season.
half the people in Cyberpunk Edgerunners were gonna be lesbians. No joke. I really did. Like I thought, I was like, okay, Lucy's gonna be a lesbian, and then they introduced Rebecca, and I was like, oh, she's gonna be a lesbian for sure. I mean, she looks like a lesbian.
Like no, Japan don't play like that.
No,
even Poland doesn't really. A bunch of journalists got pissed off that all the romance options in the game have defined sexualities. So there's nothing, if you're a male character, there's nothing in the game that you can do. There's no dialogue choices you can make that can get you to hook up with Judy. Like Judy is a lesbian. She's just not interested in you.
She's just not interested. Yeah.
Likewise, if you're playing as a female character and you want to hook up with Panem, she's not into chicks. So go hit on Judy, or I think, is there a bisexual one? I think there is.
I think there's a bisexual one. I forgot who it was.
I actually don't know. I should probably look that up.
There's something with the Dragon Age. I mean, there's only one. There's there's only one gay option in there. I mean, because they're actual characters. They're not just they don't treat them like robots. They're actual characters. So this character, as a personality, only likes men, only likes women, or something.
And that was fun. Like Dragon
there
Age
was a lot of
Dragon
articles
was
written
really
on
fun.
that. It was like, oh, we should be able to romance whoever we want. It's like, yeah, well,
Too bad.
you got to respect their sexuality. They're
You gotta
characters.
respect
They're
and the
not
creators'
playthings.
choices. You know, the creator has a choice too. It's their game.
Well, see, the interesting part of it is that it's in such a fucked up world where you can have dicks, you can have tits, you can do whatever you want, but it's just really interesting that they have like
Dong sliders all the way to the right, boys. Every playthrough.
I can go in.
Live your best life.
It's true. Nostalgia. Wait, what? Nostalgiatron. Thank you so much for the 5. I like your icon. She's got very nice boobs. I've seen it before, but seeing the desert literally signifying him seeing the end of the road broke me. Episode 6 was great. Yeah, that was really sweet. And like when he was like, "This is the end of the road for me, man," I was like, "Oh my god, this show is heavy." Like I was like, "This is getting real heavy here."
What was I going to say? Oh, the apparitions of the people that he's seeing that he ends up shooting, and then like he doesn't realize who he's shooting at all. Like that part was killing me. I was like,
yeah,
oh my god, it makes you feel so bad about like the concept of cyberpsychosis is like shockingly dark, and like it's portrayed in a way that's like, oh well, I mean, like whatever, you like just don't go insane, like just keep a cool head and you'll be fine. It's like, oh no, like your brain is not working.
It's not there anymore.
It's not something that you can just ignore the cyberpsychosis and hope it goes away. It's like, oh well.
The guy in the beginning when Cyber Psycho, like he was a soldier, like he was made to, he had all the training, the mental stability, and even he went Cyber Psycho. So it's not this thing like, oh, just don't go insane. Like if it was easy as that, no one would that would happen.
And I love that even that intro is like a critical part of the story, because it was the origin story for David's like what do they call it, the
Sandy,
the Xanistan or something like that.
Yeah.
The speed augmentation, essentially, like it accelerates your perception and basically slows down time for you, but you can move at normal speed. And it sets that up, as well as the concept of cyberpsychosis to the people that are watching the show who have not played the game. And you may not even pick that up until the second playthrough, watch through, or you'll figure it out like as the story continues, and you'd be like, oh, maybe that's what happened with that guy. And I guess they did say cyber psychos a few times, and when you have Maine kind of going through it, you see it sort of happening again. And like, I just thought they did a really good job of show don't tell with the cyber psychosis.
They did.
I had one question that I don't know about. Apparently it's probably described in the game, but why is the money called eddies? Because I know we called Benjamins because
I guess I explained that when you were up. So the currency is actually called Euro dollars, or EDs, or eddies.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. There was I actually had a question too, because there was a part that I was kind of confused about. So there was the episode where I think it was the same episode. I think it was episode 6 where the dude's going nuts and he goes cyber psycho, and he like kind of punches out Lucy, Kiwi, and like her face is like smashed in and shit. But then like the next episode she was fine. So I was like,
because she had a mandibular and a maxillary implant. So he didn't smash her human face. He smashed an implant that she had on her face.
Oh, I thought because I didn't get that part, because I was like, wait, why is she okay now? Like I was like so confused.
Oh, she was probably quite fucked up, maybe for a little while, but it's like that. This is a world in which you can fix that stuff,
right?
And it seemed like that was already an implant on her, anyways. So it's there wouldn't be a lot of vasculature that would have caused something like, say, a critical bleed, or sorry if I start slipping into medical stuff, but
no, that's fine. That's fine.
You know, like if you have, like for example, if my leg, say, were to just come right off.
Oh my God.
I'm fine. Because all the surgery and stuff on this leg to make it possible for me to attach a cyborg leg has been done. That work is finished on me. If I cut your leg off, person in the audience who is not also a cripple, chances are you're gonna bleed out and die.
It'd be a lot worse. Yeah.
God, that was kind of crazy.
No,
Valkyria Winter for 20. Thank you so much. Says, hail to you. Arcane was good. Just a few parts I shaked my head or rolled my eyes at. Edgerunners was okay. I just hated David. He annoyed me the most. Me too, man. I don't like David.
It was kind of
either.
annoying, yeah.
Plus, Riot is making a MMO on Leagues of Legends universe. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that World of Warcraft's not in a great spot, so Riot could stand to become pretty big, especially if they go about their monetization in a way that doesn't piss people off. Which, I mean, they've got mixed history with. There were some things about Valorant's monetization that
Is Riot evil?
Sorry?
Isn't Riot an evil company?
Well, Riot is owned 100%. They're an American company, but they are owned 100% of their shares are owned by Tencent. So they're technically
I know Blizzard is evil.
Well, Blizzard I mean, now Blizzard is Microsoft, so they're an American evil company,
they're evil
or at least
too.
they will be soon. Yeah, it's the thing with Tencent is kind of a tricky one, and I try to speak on this as candidly as I can, because I will often be accused of like, oh, you shouldn't like that thing because that's Tencent, and I'm like, yes, but the thing about boycotting Tencent if you're a gamer is you've pretty much got to stop playing games, because Tencent owns like at least a percentage of almost every company that makes video games right now, with the exceptions of, I think actually Sony is no longer on that list, because I believe that they now have Tencent has some stake in Sony. I believe Nintendo as well, by the way.
Mark, that's literally how I feel about everything Disney, because I hate Disney so much, and everyone's like, well, why don't you boycott it then?
Well,
like,
but yeah, that's the thing. It's like
live life because they.
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily that you wouldn't live life. You just couldn't be in this hobby and have a well-rounded perspective on the things, because there'd have to be too many things that you'd have to not do. Now, I mean, at the same time, if you are a person who is passionate enough about like, oh, I think the Chinese government is evil and I don't ever want to give them a cent of my money, even indirectly, then yeah, boycott Tencent and just be ready to play very specific indie games and like games from a few AAA companies and not that much, which is fine to do that. And honestly, I respect it. I'm like, there's no way I could stay consistent if I were to get on a high horse and say, yeah, I boycott Tencent and I'm never giving them a penny. So I'm just like, yeah, it sucks that they own part of Riot. They own some of Platinum, who does Bayonetta and Vanquish and all sorts of games that I really enjoy. They own part of Fat Shark, who made the Vermintide games that X-Ray Girl has and Quarter Black play on Sundays. And Dark Tide, which is the Warhammer 40k shooter that's coming out at the end of October that I really want to play. And lots of others, trust me. Tencent, they own too much for you to functionally boycott. It's like, I don't know.
Well, here's and the other to Valkyria's point, I just want to say that I also didn't like David. I thought he was super annoying, and this was definitely one of those shows where the main character David wasn't my favorite character. Like I was like, I don't really care. Sucked.
I didn't really like him. Everyone in the show liked him. I didn't like him that much though.
I liked him, but I really appreciated his the addict element of his character and how that was handled. So, and also I thought his motivation was really solid. I thought that the idea that he is in a situation where his mother died and could have been saved if they had money or had better cyber updates, or if he had if he was in a different life situation, he would have been able to save his mom with resources. And that, I think, informs him taking the implant and putting it on him to begin with in a way that's not just like, I need more power, but like, if I had more power, I would have had money and I would have been able to save my mom. And that may not seem like a huge distinction, but I think it's like, well, if you have a really personal reason that like I think any human being could probably connect to, if they take a second to actually think about it, be like, yeah, you watched your mom die in the street and there's something that you could have done to stop it, but you did not have the resources. This thing could give you the resources to do that. I think that is like quite understandable, or at least reasonably so.
I totally agree. I still didn't like the character for, I don't know. I just didn't vibe with him a lot, but there was just like something that, like in his character too, and maybe this was maybe you're right, and it was the idea that he was so addicted to this stuff, because it kind of went beyond like just wanting a chance to rescue his mom again. It went to like this place where he was just no longer like even human at all. Like it was just kind of like it was like, oh my god.
And
like,
you could also argue that his obsession with getting more and more powerful and more rich, like it estranged him from Lucy. And I think that was one of the things I was talking about when Literature Devil was bringing up a moment that, like a development that he really liked with Lucy. I kind of thought that when I said after the time jump, I was thinking I loved the fact that Lucy basically was just like, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah, she's like, I quit. He could.
Yeah, she's just like, I like David. I love you, and I'm still gonna be with you, but I'm not. Like, I could be the biggest help to you in the world in the field that you're working in, but I will not do it because I can't. And I think that was, I think it was pretty powerful, and it also like acted as a foil for David's flaws to shine through, because then you could see that David clearly was not stopping, even though the girl that he loved was like, yeah, no, I'd really rather do something else.
She was like, I'm out.
We're both smart, talented people. We could do anything. And I know that I'm not going to stop you from doing what you want to do, but I'm not doing this. No matter what, I'm not going to be involved. And I like the fact that he kind of still did his own thing, but like respected her. Like he didn't spend a lot of time like constantly nagging her to like get back into the game. Like, and even when they would say, hey, we really could use a Netrunner for this, he was pretty reluctant to even consider asking Lucy for any help. And I thought that it made for a really likable and believable relationship, because like that is the kind of thing, like, honestly, if X-Ray Girl wanted to entirely quit YouTube, there'd probably be times where I'd be like, yeah, no, like, you want to hop on the stream with me? And if she said no, I would be like, okay, still love you. See you later.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be like, but like you'd figure him in a more poorly written show, it would just be like, he'd be like, come on, we're nothing without you. You're the core of our team.
Yeah, if it was made in the West or something like that, she'd be like it'd either be he wanting her to come back in would be completely selfish, and he could keep he keeps nagging her to do it, or that he needs to quit immediately. And then, or else he's evil and she's going to leave him and everything. And and is written as he's the bad guy for staying in, even though he's basically staying in order to help people. Because the first mission, the time jump, is them rescuing a bunch of innocents that have been kidnapped, and that's what they're doing in the first job. And furthermore, like he seems to be fine in the beginning. Like he's cybered up to like the eyeballs, but he seems to be fine. The moment he starts going cyber psycho is after that murder. Like he actually kills this one innocent lady, and it's like she reminded him of his mom, and that's when he started going cyber psycho. And it's kind of like these
the guilt was destroying him.
Exactly. And I think you kind of see the same thing with Maine as well. Like something happens that kind of triggers the cyber psychosis. It's not just I have a bunch of cyberware necessarily. Which might explain why Adam Smasher is the way he is. Like maybe nothing has ever triggered that cyber psychosis in him, because it really seems like with Maine and David, they were fine until something happened. Something
traumatic happened,
and then boom, so it started going. Like something hit them psychologically, and they started going down the path of cyber psychosis. And then after that, you can't really stop it unless apparently you can like draw back on your cyberware.
And I think that's a really interesting point that you're making, Literature Devil, because I think that's part of the reason that maybe Lucy is not like that, because she was basically raised through trauma. Like her entire life story that they kind of, when they gave us her backstory about her being like the kind of like a test subject in order to code and everything like that, and from a very young age she was brought up to do this. That's part of the reason that I think she doesn't have that trauma and isn't able to quite go cross that line and become cyber psycho as well. I think maybe that's part of that's part of her strength, because it's like her trauma is actually something that's saving her now, which is really strange in a way. But yeah, that's interesting, because they both kind of like go over the edge. By the way, there's a lot of nudity in this. I just want to
So there's a lot of some of them even gratuitous. Like there's like no reason for it, just here.
No reason, dude. Literally, like in the first 5 minutes of the episode, when he's like, oh, like I don't even remember what he was doing, but all of a sudden it's like somebody hacks into his thing and they like give him like porn, and the chick is like, and she's like riding that guy, and I was like, dude, what did I just see? It was like a flash of like,
yeah, the in the first like brain dance scene.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, like again, the senses, like the sensory, the visual senses, it's something. I tell you. Nicholas Horton for 5 says, "Hi everyone, another top-notch anime from Studio Trigger. I think Trigger would be a perfect animation studio for a new Battle Angel Alita anime. That would be
yeah,
great.
no, absolutely,
100%. I don't like because I've read the manga for Alita, and I don't think honestly, I don't think anyone can do it other than someone like Studio Trigger or someone like maybe. Wait, did they do Castlevania as well? I don't know.
No, that's Power or Madhouse. Madhouse or Powerhouse?
Okay.
Something House.
They're really good too. I mean, I think they can do it too. But...
They also did Kevin Smith's Masters of the Universe too. So
well, they're
a little bit more guns for hire than like a solid
their
collection.
Is really good though.
Their animation very good animators.
Great. As long as they get like good writers, they can do the really good anime style. I like that. I like the art. But thank you, Nicholas Horton. It's good to see you on my channel. And then we got Valkyria Winters again for another 10. Says, I think it was Bruce Beethke or another writer of the lore posted something about what is cyber source. If I remember, it's all got to do with your humanity, not the implants. Ah, that's interesting. Well, it kind of makes sense because this is kind of what we're talking about. Like, are you talking about like going cyber psycho? Is that what they're talking about?
Yeah,
because I think that's what we're talking about.
Your humanity and your actual soul is more of a factor in the development of cyber psychosis than the implants. And I think that that's a tricky way to say in a binary fashion, because it's sort of a combination of the two. It's and like, I mean, I honestly, like, I had to, I'll admit that now I'm kind of reconceptualizing it in my brain, because I've now had the revelation that maybe the trauma and the idea that there's something about you that is like overwhelmingly human, like an emotion that's so powerful that it's overwhelming your brain, is conflicting with all of the cybernetic upgrades in a way that causes distortion, I guess. And then that's what could do it. So I think that's a really interesting way to conceptualize it. But it is predicated on your upgrades, in that people with more upgrades are more susceptible to cyberpsychosis. So if you just had, say, for example, top of my head, one robotic leg, not super likely you're going to become a cyber psycho. No. But I'd say though that that Lucy's implant, her deep dive implant, like that's right in the back of her occipital cortex.
Yep.
That is probably the type of thing that's like, you've got to have a certain type of you've got to have a certain constitution to be able to manage.
You got to be careful. Yeah.
Insane.
It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. Let me get this other one here. DM Zaku, thank you for the $4.99. Thought the reference to Total Recall with the 3 boob Maelstrom gang,
I saw that.
remember, was funny. Yeah, that was great. Also, the 3-eyed dude was crazy. Like the main bad guy. Well, not the main bad guy, but you guys
voiced by Esposito.
The Maelstrom guy.
Yeah, that guy. He was,
the Maelstrom is one of the gangs in the city, and they're the most
I think
they're the most machine.
No, I'm talking about Faraday. Yeah. The main,
Faraday. Okay.
He had 3 eyes on one side of his head.
That guy.
Oh, 3 eyes on one side.
Yeah, they'll pop out when he.
I thought you meant the guys with like the 3 eyes.
This
like,
dude here.
They all look like red lights.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. No, I'm talking about this guy here. He was kind
Isn't this racist because this is a white guy and is being voiced by Esposito? So I'm pretty sure this is racist.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Was that Giancarlo Esposito?
Yeah. Is it?
It was so nice.
I had no idea. That's funny.
I knew about the voice, but
these guys were straight up from the game too. Like, I really love this. Like, I was like, when I saw these guys, I was like, see, this is what makes you want to play the game again, because these guys are straight up from the game. It's like, I was like, oh my God, I want to play this.
Speaking of that, this is the opening theme. Like, I have a fire in me. And that part, I
This fire is out of control. I'm gonna burn.
I just thought of Galadriel going, "I have a tempest in me." I was like, "This is a stark difference."
Keanu Reeves' first line in the opening in the trailer where they like announced basically the way they revealed Keanu Reeves in being in the game, he says like I think he says "Get up, samurai," and then he says "We've got a city to burn," and then
something like
"We
that.
got to burn this city" is like the theme song of the anime. I was like, oh, right on.
Yeah,
also,
I remember the first commercial he was in when he's helping that guy up from the ground, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Oh yeah, and now that I can see our cameras in the background, that's my Cyberpunk chair. CD Projekt did not give that to me. X-Ray Girl got it for me for Christmas because I'm a cyborg.
Wake up, samurai.
That was also wake up, samurai. We have a city to burn.
I have a tempest gun. That's fine.
I far more believe that David has a fire in him than I believe that Galadriel has a tempest inside.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, he definitely has.
The drawing of David is a better actor than Mordred Clark.
I think so. Yeah.
Sorry, Ryan.
Okay, here's a question. Did you guys see Lucy fucking them over coming?
I mean, Kiwi?
Yeah, Kiwi.
Kiwi just betrays them all.
Kind of.
That's a good twist. That was a good twist. Although it does kind of make sense because she almost got killed by Maine. It's like
yes.
Yeah, that's sort of why I was like, yeah, okay. I get it.
I mean, I got it too, you know what's funny though is I got it the moment that she told Lucy that thing where she was like, "You can't trust anyone." Anybody. I was like, "Oh, this bitch she's gonna betray them," because usually you project like
kind of like how Halbrand's first line was appearances can be deceiving.
Yes, exactly. I was like,
first line was I'm Sauron. I remember that.
His first line was like, "I've got my eye on you, my burning eye."
This guy again, I felt like this is another nod to Ghost in the Shell because they had this guy, even though he's like he's got like his cybernetics and stuff, but for the most part, he's pretty human. It kind of reminded me of
Togusa?
Yes. It kind of
this guy was voiced by Matt Mercer, oddly enough.
Yeah, all right.
What is that the same guy? I don't even know. I don't know.
Shepard.
He's voiced by Matt Mercer is also the guy who runs the DM. He's a DM for Critical Role. And he got in trouble because he's such a good DM, I guess. But it's called he launched Mercer syndrome, where it was like more like Matt Mercer. That's kind of his fame right now, is just being a DM.
Oh my god, there's so many good shots in this anime too. Like there's just so much good things. Like look at this shot. It's a lot of good.
Also, a lot of the characters look good or interesting instead of bland and boring or ugly.
Yes,
they actually look good.
They actually look good
or intriguing to look at. Like the guy with the long limbs. Like he wasn't necessarily attractive, but he was interesting to look at. He had like those golden hands,
fascinating designs.
All of it was fascinating. This is what happened. This is basically like his ultimate form. Damn.
He's like basically a mecha in the
He's basically a mecha with like a body attached, like a human body attached.
This would be a Jesus allegory because the way he's positioned. Like he has his arms up there, like he's crucified on the cross of cyberware.
Yeah, kind of. It could be. Well, he did really kind of sacrifice himself too. So
yeah, the Japanese really like Christian allegories. They really like that stuff.
They do.
And metaphors and comparisons.
I did think that human guy was gonna die too, and he didn't. And I thought that whole scene in the end where he's driving her away, and then she's like, "We have to go back," and he's like, "No, this was like his final request. We're not going back." I was just like, "Oh my god, I don't know if I could do that. Like, I don't know, if I was her, I don't know if I could like just leave."
That would be tough, but you got to understand the way you have to be thinking in a situation like that is if it was his last request for you to not come back for him and you came back and he died anyways, but the last thing he ended up seeing was you dying.
That would
like, you'd be like, yeah, that's a great last gift that you could give to him. Instead of being like, yeah, let me die saving my friends. It's like, oh, thanks. Let me watch my friends die before I
that scene anyways. Though, that awesome. Scene where she like gets to him, and then he's like about to go cyber psycho, and then she's like, come back to me, and she like kisses him. I was just like, this is what girls love. I love those kind of things. I'm a sucker for those kind of scenes. I'm just like, they totally put this there for me, and I'm totally fine with it. I'm trying to find that scene, but I can't find it, where he's just like he's about to go cyber psycho, and then she's like, come back to me. Oh God, that's such a good show. Why can't we get more of this? I don't know. Okay, let me see here. What else do I got going on? Wait, am I frozen? No, I'm good. I thought I was frozen for a second. Okay.
If you're frozen, can I be Treasure Planet? Boom.
Way better.
Quick, pick one of the good ones.
Angron the Red Angel for 5 says Japan doesn't do the nonsense. Japan SCOTUS ruled the gay marriage ban was constitutional, and trans must get surgery for the name change on IDs. Whoa.
Oh, I think that might be going a little far. I think actually my criticism with that is that might encourage more surgery than IDs it'll prevent.
He's got to commit, if you're going to have the name change. I
guess that's. I mean, on top surgery, I can kind of get behind because there's no like permanent damage that could like ruin your reproductive ability for the rest of your life, unless you're talking about feeding kids. But yeah.
Well, it's kind of weird because that's kind of like what it's like in Iran, and I think it's kind of weird because they're so anti-gay, but they basically say like gay people are confused, and they're actually like they're willing to pay for you to get like a sex exchange to become a woman, versus being gay. Like they're like, no, you're just confused, and you're.
I got news for you.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I get like every time I hear Gary say, "Man, like what is that from?" I'm just like, "Oh my God, Gary, it's from Berserk."
Oh my
music
God.
is from Berserk, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful song.
It was.
It's such a good song.
And now to everyone, it's just I got news for you.
I got news for you.
And to be fair, the Guts theme does make that clip way funnier.
It does.
It actually adds a lot.
It makes it a lot better.
Just everyone watch Berserk 1997. It's fantastic.
Definitely. Valkyria Winter for 10 says, I'll say one thing. Adam Smasher is the show in the show was more OP than the game. More OP. What does that mean?
Overpowered.
Overpowered.
Debatable. I mean, like it depends on when you fight him, what kind of gear you have. Like he's powerful, but if you've got like a really good sword, that you should be able to slash through him pretty bad because he's pretty vulnerable to melee damage, I found. And I mean, honestly, it really just depends on your gear. That is a looter shooter that you can really over level if you want to. Like
I played it
crazy
on
gear and just fly through the game on the hardest difficulty if you want. If you're willing to grind.
I was playing a difficult hacker, and I was fine against him. Like it was actually kind of easy. Like I was like,
oh yeah, I didn't really play as a hacker, so the last thing I used on him were hacks. But I found that my sword was like ultra effective on him. I cut him down and shockingly fast.
Yeah, me too. He was a bitch. I made him.
That said, I think I was going after him with like my pistol and my assault rifle at first, and I died a whole bunch. So that's why I switched to the sword to just see how it would do, and it seemed like that at least for my build, that was the one that worked.
I liked how in the end, that chick that betrayed them, Kiwi, she was like, "What am I doing?" And she was like regretting doing it. That was kind of cool.
And then she came back to them at the last minute and gave him like the coordinates and everything, and then she died.
Yeah.
She managed to kill one of the guys though before she died, which is pretty awesome because they were already shooting her.
And like that, I think.
Yeah, she hacked that one dude. It was great.
Yeah, but like that's a good type of redemption that doesn't seem heavy-handed, where it's like this person legitimately regrets what they did. They came back, they did something useful, they apologized, and then they paid for their sins. They died. Like it's like we paid the ultimate price. I essentially sacrificed myself to help you because I feel so bad. That's it. I'm out.
She just misunderstood. Needs to be forgiven in there.
No. She was misunderstood. That's like the new thing of the West. It's like
Kiwi, they'll never know what you sacrificed for them.
There he is. There's the boss, Adam Smasher.
It's an epic name. Adam Smasher.
Yeah, and he did. T. Louis for 2 says, Sandevistan, which is like the power, dumps 100 cups of coffee into you. Yeah, it's basically it. It's like that Futurama episode.
Sandevistan, that was it. Man, it was killing me that I wasn't getting that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's literally that Futurama episode.
T. Louis too. T. Louis, he's the Last of Us too.
Okay.
TLOU too.
T. Louis too. Yeah, it was that Futurama episode where Fry had 100 cups of coffee, and then he literally that and, like, removed
he saves them all from the burning building. Yeah, that was good.
That was good. That was a good show.
Yeah, I didn't catch that. So thank you for bringing that up.
No problem. I'm a huge Futurama fan. Okay, well, I think we've talked about this enough. Unless you guys have anything else you want to add, because that's like we talked about the ending, talked about most of it. What do you guys? LD, you got anything else you want to talk about?
I think that's about it. Yeah.
So there you go.
I mean, yeah, I think that the case I would make again is for like a really good kind of addiction allegory that tells things in a way that I think is interesting enough on its face, because it's a flashy cyberpunk world that has a story that's kind of nihilistic in some ways, but also has a bit of hope and some heart in it. And like, it's not just a total bummer ending. The way I would argue that the game, all the endings of it are kind of downers.
I love.
There's not really a good ending in Cyberpunk 2077. Like,
I love the ending. I thought the ending was great. I didn't think it was depressing. I liked it.
Really? I mean, I thought it was depressing in a way that I found satisfying, but I think that none of the endings are happy. Like, they're all like, I guess this is just kind of the life now.
That kind. See, that's the thing though. Like, a happiness, I guess, is like in the eye of the beholder. Because yes, even though it was unhappy, in a sense, because she lost him and everything like that, it really kind of wasn't because of the very end where it's like as if his spirit.
You're talking about Edgerunners now.
Yeah, Edgerunners.
Oh no. See, I was talking about the game. The game's endings are total downers, and I thought that this one was sad in that, I mean, again, spoilers. You probably have seen the whole show if you're watching this, but spoilers for Edgerunners.
Different endings, though, dude. Yeah. I got the happy ending. I didn't mind the ending.
Which ending did you think was happy?
The one that she went. Literature Devil hasn't played it. The one that she goes to the moon. Like, I went to the moon too.
Well, yeah, I mean, but you understand that, like. Not a lot of time left though. Like, it is still, I'm gonna go do this one thing and then die.
Sure, yeah.
Like, I mean, it is.
But that's the thing, because I think, like, when you match it up with kind of like what Edgerunners is about, and how like the spirit is what's important, and the spirit is what makes you human.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what the show was trying to say, especially with the ending of his kind of spirit being with her. So like, even in death, you're together. It's just you're just not physical anymore. And I think that those are the things that are really interesting about anime, and especially these kind of shows, because Ghost in the Shell talks about the very same thing. It's about the soul, the spirit. Like, what is that? Like, what makes a human? What makes a machine, and so on and so forth. And I think that's what really like kind of capitulates this series for me to make it as awesome as it was that they were saying death is not the end. And I like that message. So.
Yeah, and like, to an extent, that's kind of the message of the endings in the game too. But yeah, and I recommend checking out the Johnny ending, even if you just watch it on YouTube. It's interesting.
Well, I'm definitely gonna try and play it again now, because I think I want to go full chaos mode this time, like full just like this.
I recommend blades, shotguns, and assault rifle, or maybe hand cannons.
Yeah, because the last time I was fully like, just hacking everybody from like outside buildings and shit, and I'm like,
what I'm trying to do with this character, but I've got a street kid on PC that, again, I would be playing on a mouse and keyboard, so I would. Like
Cyberpunk 2077. Can you do like a GTA thing if you go see Cyber Psycho? You just kind of just rampage in the street till you die.
No. So the one key thing to know about Cyberpunk 2077 as a role-playing game is that it is not a D&D like Baldur's Gate style role-playing game where you can kind of just design your character and do what you want to do in the world. It's more like Witcher 3,
Yes.
And I think the thing, like, almost I wish they didn't let you create a character, because then more people would just think of V as, no, this is just V. Even if maybe they had male V and female V, but that's it, just like a binary choice. But yeah, so V has a character, he has a role, or she, depending on how you played. And you can kind of color the character and make some decisions that have some outcomes, but ultimately it's you moving through V's story more so than just having just an open world that you can kind of make your own way in. However, there are like additional quests where you can hunt down cyber psychos. So, and that's actually a really good way to make money early on.
I did that a lot.
Likewise in the show,
Yeah.
in the game, money is super important. It's pretty much the most important resource here. And experience is good, but money is what gets you the good stuff. Like,
well, that's how you get your freaking wares. So
yeah, it's like once you get like double jumping and stuff like that, like once the movement options in that game open up, the gameplay starts to feel a hell of a lot better. And yeah, it's in a better state now. It's still not perfect. It's still kind of a glitchy game. The performance is still not fantastic on PC in some areas. And if you turn on ray tracing, it kind of turns the whole thing into a mess if you're trying to stream, I learned. But yeah, it's definitely in a better state than it was at launch. And I mean, I don't want to plug myself too hard, but yeah, technically it's plugging Geeks and Gamers. My reviews on Geeks and Gamers, if you type Cyberpunk 2077 review, and I think I do a good job of setting people's expectations. There's not a lot of story spoilers.
You know, one of the things that was really annoying to me about the game
Sure.
was that I was really, really into the like the clothes and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
But some of the clothes make no fucking sense. Like I was
now
like, what the
there's
hell?
transmogrification. So if you like the stats on, and this just got added when Edgerunners came out, by the way. So this is a very new fix. Like it was on the 1.6 update, which is called the Edgerunners update, where you can get like David's jacket and stuff. But you have transmogrification as well now, so you can make gear with stats that are useful look like clothes that you think are fashionable.
Oh,
So, like,
thank
just
God!
change the
Because
appearance
in
of
the
things,
OG, I was like, why am I wearing this ugly ass tank top?
Oh no! I flat out made myself weaker so I would look like a badass in my footage when I was like riding around on my motorcycle and stuff. I'm not even kidding. Like, because I'm like, everyone is gonna see this. Like, I don't want to look like a moron in my footage.
It was the ugliest freaking clothes, and it's like, oh, this thing's got a stat of 100, and it's
I
like a fucking
legit
white
had to
beater.
get better at the game to compensate for my clothing choices.
I know. I totally feel I feel that. I was like, as someone who's like totally into fashion, like fashion stuff in games, it's like, what the hell? Like, I need better stats for these fucking clothes that are cute.
I don't need the craziest stuff. I kind of do need my characters in video games though to be a certain baseline of cool looking, or I will flat out, like, I won't equip totally ridiculous looking armor if it makes me look like an idiot. Except for maybe early on in a Monster Hunter game, because you have no choice.
Oh my God.
You will look silly in Monster Hunter early on.
Like I was like, I went up against like Adam Smasher with like wearing a fucking tank top, and I'm like, I don't even care.
Tank top with like plus 49 armor. Yeah. So you're just like, wait, what?
I assume it's something like this.
So, you finally arrived. What the hell are you wearing?
It's my ass-kicking outfit, bitch.
Yeah, that's it.
That's
like
exactly
a
Think about that, Rocky. You got an ass-kicking outfit.
Oh,
yeah, you're a good puppy.
Baby. You're baby.
Hey, Jojo.
So cute. Okay. So on that note, I think we're gonna call it. So thank you everybody, you guys in the chat, for coming to hang out with us today. It was really fun. I think this is something that Literature Devil and I are gonna be doing at least once a month, probably like switching channels back and forth. Because I want to talk more about anime. I've fallen behind on anime watching, and I want to get back into talking and watching anime. So we'll probably be doing this like at least once a month on either of our channels on Mondays. It's gonna be fun. I don't know. I had fun today, so I want to do more of this. It'll be fun. So until then, though, Mark, tell everyone where they can find you.
Actually, you can find me if you want to go there now. On rumble.com/markthecyborg. I'm gonna fiddle around with Cyberpunk 2077 while snuggling with the puppies for a little bit more. And my YouTube channel is Mark the Cyborg, youtube.com/markthecyborg, and I'm at Cyborg Mark on Twitter because someone took Mark the Cyborg on Twitter.
Oh
But,
no. It's like
the only other place
Kimmel.
on Mark the Cyborg is on Blizzard and Nintendo. Like their Battle.net and then Nintendo's online service, and that's because of character limits.
That's funny.
They didn't give me enough letters.
Literature Devil, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on YouTube, Literature Devil on YouTube. It's pretty easy. We go over the narrative, structure, stories, all kinds of stuff. And I have a book on Amazon Kindle right now, Dr. Alpha Miracle Child. This morning, it was actually number 86 or 84 out of the top 100 in science fiction graphic novels. It has since dropped there, but this morning, for one split second in time, I was in the top 100. So that was pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool. Everybody go.
I did back your book. I think I moved too many times before it came out, though, because I never got mine. But I've moved like 3 times in the last 2 years, and I know that I backed your book on Indiegogo when I was 2 houses ago. So and that was a city very far away as well. So
damn it, Mark, get your shit together.
I could, if you send me your new address, I could send you one. I'm going to go.
Like I'll buy a copy. It's fine. Is there a place?
But not
Sorry,
yet.
go ahead.
Not yet. Like if you want to back it again, you don't have to. You could just send me the address. But I mean, I'm going to be able to, for everyone who's interested, I'm offering the physical copy of Dr. Alpha Miracle Child as a perk if you want to for when Dr. Alpha 2 comes out.
All right, I'll just do that.
Which is Dead Man's Lullaby.
So I'm gonna have to do that myself.
Coming out.
I will back at that tier.
Yeah, I think
appreciate it.
Yeah, guys, support stuff like this if you can. As long as whenever you're financially able, if someone like in our general group of YouTubers and stuff is making an artistic product, at least give their first volume a shot.
Definitely. Real quick, I forgot that Daniel Villarella also left a member message saying, "This show was so good, cried many tears. Dear God, I haven't felt like this since the ending of Gundam Iron Blood, Blood Orphans ending, and Cowboy Bebop."
Ooh,
it was good.
Bebop was good.
It was good. It was
the anime Cowboy Bebop was really good.
Yeah.
Good thing there was never a live action. That'd be terrible.
Never once. I don't know what you're talking about.
Not once. Not once.
That's how Literature Devil and I became friends, actually, talking about that show. What a shit show that was.
Stupid show. We're like, we're correcting the wrongs of the anime. Sure you did.
The one that I made a petition to keep it canceled.
Yeah, keep stay down. Stay down, bitch.
Well, okay, I've got a great idea. What if we do Death Note, but it's like an 80s teen movie?
Yeah, maybe, because I haven't seen. I mean, I have to rewatch Death Note.
And we have like the whole opening in a Dutch angle.
Yeah. In fact, what the hell? Most of the movie will be in Dutch angles.
and we race swap L for some reason.
Everybody actually.
And we make him an idiot.
I do, didn't that? They did that, right? Because I never watched Death Note, the movie.
It's good.
You know, have you watched ER's videos on it?
No.
They're way better than the movie.
You watch those immediately. Like the second you're done this.
Like the second I'm done.
You will thank me later. They're hilarious.
Okay.
And you'll be like, this is not what the Netflix movie actually is. And the answer is yes. Yes, it is.
Oh my God. Yeah, I never watched the movie. I was like, I love the anime too much to do this to myself. So I'm not going to.
Yeah, I think you will enjoy ER's videos because it's just him tearing those movies apart, and it's hilarious.
ER loves Death Note. Oh my God. All right. So check out Literature Devil's stuff. It's in the that sounded bad. That it's in the description. So is Mark's. Check out both their channels and everywhere they are. And as for me, you can find me on Midnight's Edge in a couple of hours at 8 Eastern. 7 Central. You can find me on Midnight's Edge for Toxic Femininity. And we're going to talk about some more stuff there. So thank you everybody again for joining, and we'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Bye. I don't know what to end it on. Let's see. We'll end it on this one. Thank you for coming, everyone.
Daddy's in prison, and he won't be home for a long time.
My dear Lord. Yeah, well, I gotta get going right now. I gotta get on the bus. I ride the bus for the city and watch the bus drivers. Kind of this program they got to make sure they turn the wheels right and...
Billy, you forgot your stuff.
Come on, honey.
Thank you very much!